me through the meeting and just tell me what was the purpose of it first.
Well, at first, we weren't sure of the purpose of the meeting. We were called to a meeting prior to the announcement of the charges about the case of the young man being killed downtown. So we weren't sure of the purpose of the meeting. I guess my intent of joining the meeting would have been to have some kind of communication to take back to the people in the community, to tell them something to keep down the violence and the unrest that may be centered around the fact that there were no charges in that case. So we were hoping to get the information we needed, ask some questions, and take it back to our people so we could give some calm to the situation.
What led up to the incident with what the governor said?
Well, and I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There were some good things said in the meeting, questions being asked around the case, some legality issues that really couldn't have been answered because Attorney Klein was not present. So the governor was questioned as to the absence of Attorney Klein. And I think that would have helped tremendously. I think there was good dialogue during the course of the meeting when the governor was pressed on some policy issues and given the context of why we needed more clarity, why there shouldn't be a vague announcement if there were charges pending, other charges, those should be announced to give some people hope. That's when it began to get tense. The governor was questioned on some policies regarding people of color, and that's when he got a little heated.
Why? I mean, questions regarding policy. I need you to give it to me straight. So why was he upset? What made him say what he said?
Well, it was mentioned that in general that African Americans don't feel safe, and again giving some context to the issue, and that some of his policies may have led to that. No specific policies were mentioned. That's when he replied with what he said.
Tell me again what he said, just to make it clear.
Well, he said, and there's been a lot of misrepresentation of what he said.
Yeah, because I've been hearing a whole bunch of different things. I heard he said "you guys," and what specifically? What was said?
He said specifically, he said "you guys," and then the problem I have with you people. Well, he said where the hell were you guys, and the problem I have with you people. And I think that where in the hell were you guys was in reference to him trying to pass some sort of police reform agenda back in before I got here. I'm not sure that's what I heard. But
okay, so that was my confusion. I was wondering what made him say that, that part.
Right.
So that was in response.
That was in response to him being told we didn't feel safe.
So when you all said you don't feel safe, his reply was,
where the hell were you guys when? And then it got people stood up, people began to speak up. That's when he said, the problem I have with you people.
And then what did he say after that?
I don't know, I walked out.
Why did you walk out?
Well, and I understand the debate between why I should have stayed and why I walked out. At that point, we felt we were being misled during that, or at least I did, during that entire meeting about what the mayor knew when she knew it about the announcement, why we were invited, what our purpose and intent was for the meeting. And then it kind of just escalated to the point where there was nothing else to be said in that particular meeting. And I walked out of protest from the offense of the governor to the people in that room.
Who else walked out?
I'm not sure. With me, I think there were 2 or 3 people. I just walked down and kept walking, so I wasn't able to see who was behind me.
Was the meeting it was community leaders, faith leaders, who else?
Yeah, there were pastors, there were community leaders, about 25 people altogether.
And I'm sorry if I keep going back to it, but I just want to make sure I have the timeline correct. You mentioned that this meeting was called before the announcement was made.
Right.
I thought the meeting was after the announcement.
Right. It shifted. The meeting was called before the announcement.
Okay.
We met after the announcement.
Okay, so that would have been Monday.
Right.
Okay. I remember we talked last night. So everybody started leaving the Malcolm X Center.
Right.
Probably around 3 or 4. It was around that time.
Right. I was actually the lone person there from 4:15 to about 4:45, with the mayor and the governor and the police chief,
Police chief.
Police chief.
You're good. No worries.
So we were alone together in the meeting before everyone else got there.
Was there anything said then?
We were just trying to talk about the situation in, kind of a settled way and, running together ideas about what we could do, how we could address it before everyone got there. Nothing formal, just talking about ideas.
Okay. My other question for you, how do you even move forward from here? Because like you said, you get both sides. Some people are like, well, why would you walk out?
Mm-hmm.
And others understand why you walked out. So where do we go from here?
My hope is for reconciliation. I'm meeting with the governor's office today, later on this evening. And my hope is that the governor and I can sit down and reconcile. Look, we need to move beyond the moment. The moment was tense. Something was said that I've heard my entire life as an African American. I was offended as a pastor, as a professional, as a community member, and as a man. But I want to move past the moment. If the governor and I cannot move past the moment, then we have to ask the question, can our community, can this country, blacks, whites, move past the moment and begin to work together again? I'm always for Jesus taught reconciliation. So I'm always seeking to reconcile, and that is my hope, that we can come together again and get back at that table.
For those who don't get it, who don't get why you people is so grossly offensive to black people, can you explain that for me?
Well, that term "you people" separated black people from everybody else. It was a term that, of course, over the years has been a racist term. And I'm kind of offended about people who say, get over it. He didn't mean it that way. Yes, he did. You had to have been in the room to hear it. Now, I still want to get past it. He apologized. I'm not going to judge the sincerity of his apology. We will talk in person, and we'll go from there. We've got to bring healing. People are dying. And what's at my heart is we're forgetting about the silent killer out there, which is COVID-19. And then the death of this young man, his family's grieving, and the protest about this country. We shouldn't have to focus on somebody saying "you people." But I brought attention to it so that we can understand what some of the mindset is with people who sit at the top of our state. I didn't do it to bring down Pete Ricketts. That was not my hope or my goal. It was to expose what we're really dealing with, because if we're going to deal with systematic racism, we've got to root it out and expose it. And so that was my intent.
How are you feeling about the fact that there were no charges, not even, and that's even a stupid question, I know how you feel about that, the fact that there was no charges for the concealed carry issue, the fact, all of that going on?
I'm hurting because I think if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a black man that killed a white man, I think that he would be in jail pending charges. And the fact that those charges weren't announced and that he was not further detained during those charges is a problem for me. And our goal at this point is to call a grand jury, whether that's by petition, whether it's by talking to the county attorney or whatever it is. We want to at least get a grand jury. If not, we need to seek federal charges on some of the other things as well.
Why do you think when things like this happen, faith leaders like yourself are always called upon? I mean, there are so many different people in the community that could speak out. Why do we go to faith leaders?
Well, I think, first of all, and we addressed it with the mayor, that why are we being called now? We don't have a constant dialogue. We are, from my perspective, a pastor of church. We have a large constituency in the African American community. We're connected to a lot of people. So I think faith leaders also bring the Spirit of God with them. And we can communicate in ways they can't. So I think it's paramount that we be at the table unified, but we also want to work with the mayor and the police chief and the governor. We can't do it with dishonesty, deception, and offense. That's where the waters get muddied and working together becomes tough.
Pastor, I did a story last night on peace, and there was a peaceful march held in Memorial Park. Quite frankly, a lot of black people don't want to hear about peace, though.
Right.
A lot of them are sick and tired. So how do you tell our people to remain peaceful in a time that hasn't been peaceful to them?
My message to the governor and to the mayor was, it's slipping through our fingers. Martin Luther King said that rioting is the language of the unheard. How much longer do we have to hear no charges, no indictment, no verdict, no arrest? When we see it on video, and not only on video, but played out in our neighborhoods every week. And so I'm not sure we're at a point where we can speak calm to people. And that's where, if ever it was a time where it's incumbent for everybody to work together, it's now. We need all hands on deck, because there has to be hope somewhere. There has to be hope. We can't find justice. There has to be hope somewhere. And I'm hoping that we can somehow get a message across that no more people die. No more people tear gas on them and things like that, simply for peaceful protesting.
Sorry.
It's okay, you're fine.
Were you informed, I might have misheard you, but were you informed of any other possible charges that could be coming against the man?
There could potentially be charges for an expired carry and concealed weapon. Also for firing a warning shot, which within the city limits of Omaha is illegal. So we're hoping those charges would come.
Have you talked to the family at all?
I have not spoken with the family.
What words for them do you have?
I hurt for you. Here we are again, another senseless killing of a young black man. And we are praying for you. My entire church is praying for you. And just know that we all feel your pain. We went to that meeting to help the situation. And I still pray that we can help the situation and bring some kind of comfort to the family.
What questions do you have?
I guess just a couple.
And just look at me, so
Okay.
Sorry.
So, Pastor, I want to focus a little bit on the context of the matter of what the governor said. Mm-hmm. And you said that he said you people after he had made some prior statements about you people as pastors or leaders.
Sure.
Can you just focus upon the context of that situation and when he said it and why he said it? So maybe can you paraphrase to us how that situation happened, or maybe even just say it as how you remember how the situation happened?
Well, what I remember is a pastor was talking about Governor Ricketts' policies and the fact that as African Americans we don't feel safe. And in that context, Governor Ricketts responded with the finger pointing and said, "Where the hell were you guys when?" And then the sound, people stood up, people were protesting loudly, some of them, and I was sitting next to him. That's when I heard the problem with you people is, or the problem I have with you people is. So that was the context of it, and how I'm not sure how it could have been repaired after that. Anything said after that, in my opinion, could not have been productive. Okay.
Then at that moment right there, obviously, I'm not sure if you already had stood up after that or before, but can you kind of tell us exactly what ran through your mind exactly at that moment? Because people are going to question, it's you people, why does that matter? Because people do not actually understand. But can you just kind of tell us exactly what hit your mind right at that moment?
Well, I think number one, if you did not have the benefit of tone and seeing his face and hearing it, then you won't have, the full extent of the feeling that came along with it. For me, as an African American, being told that my whole life, again, it brought back feelings that I didn't think we would have had to deal with, having been invited to a meeting to work together. And also what is really at the core, what really is at the core when it becomes tense and how you really feel really comes out. I feel when you people was said, it was not said just for the people in the room or the fact that we were pastors. It was about black people. And that's what I exposed and called out.
I just have two more questions of your Pastor. I watched your video. It was very, very passionate. I know I could sense the tenseness off your voice, and it just happened over here. That video is out. You said, and I'm probably quoting or paraphrasing over here, I want this to go viral, right? It has.
And it did.
It has gone viral. Do you think that, obviously it's the next day, you probably read comments and whatever. Do you think that your message is being seen how you wanted it to send? What do you think about the viralness of this video?
In large part, it's being seen in exactly the way I wanted it to be seen. I wanted to get some feelings exposed. I'm getting support from all over the world. Our phone is ringing off the hook. We're getting positive press. Thank God for that. There's also the other side. We're being targeted by white supremacist groups and white nationalists and being threatened and so on and so forth, and that's fine. What I hope now that, again, that we exposed it, we can again come back together. I was not trying to deem Mr. Ricketts as a devil or anything like that, but I did call him a racist. I did do that in my video. At that moment, that was a racist statement, and that's what I believed.
And do you still stand by that?
I hope to get to know him better. At this point, this is how I know him. And again, I hope that that relationship can be made better because of it.
Which is a segue to my last question over
Okay.
here. Has Governor Ricketts reached out to you? Has he said anything to you? As like obviously he put out his statement, but has he reached out to you as a person who has obviously made him have to make that statement? Then, if he has or he has not, have you said anything to him, or what would you say to him when you guys do get a conversation?
Well, his staff will be here shortly.
His staff, not him.
His staff will be here, and they're setting up the groundwork for a meeting. My sincere hope, and this is my message to the Omaha community in the state of Nebraska, and now the world, the country and the world, is that I hope to shake the man's hand. And I hope to ask him how I can work with him going forward. And whatever apology he may have for me, you know, that's fine. My father always taught me always to accept a sincere man's apology. So I'm prepared to do that. I come in with an open heart and an open mind and pray that this will be a stepping stone to a better relationship, not a stumbling block to a worse one.